Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com. Yes, we're back. Couple of weeks off. I know all my fault, Steve. That my apologies. I just had to, go off to Bangkok for a week and Singapore for a week. Tough times. I do enjoy enjoy a bit of travel because it gives you a bit of perspective, etc. Obviously, I sent a video to you, which I'll overlay now, of the Jewel, which is at Singapore Changi Airport, a rather spectacular waterfall, which is actually more impressive than what the footage would actually suggest. But that aside, that's kind of the airport experience. But travel in general is just something that's I highly recommend everyone do regularly when they can.
Couldn't agree more with you, Ben. You never get tired of travel, and what an amazing concept for an airport. I've been to Singapore Airport, of course, and seen the Jewel and walked around there, and you just think, that is a little bit more clever than every other airport I've ever been to.
Well, they certainly want you to have a very good experience going through that airport. Let's just put it that way. It's one of the most spectacular ones around the place.
A burger joint is a burger joint, but not everywhere's a botanical garden.
Exactly right. All right, and just before we get kicking off on today's topics, I did want to have a little bit of a coda to one of the topics we touched on in our last episode, the Kate Middleton photo controversy, which is not really funny in the end about what ended up happening with that. There was something serious at the heart of it, and I think they didn't really know how to maybe communicated in the best way, which led to all of the kerfuffle and whatnot. But what I wanted to comment on was not so much that, but the fact the reaction that came afterwards online about all this self-examination that we have to do now. This makes us really rethink what we're doing online when we're jumping down rabbit holes, and it's really quite serious, and we should have just given them the privacy, etc. I don't know where we're going with any of that, but it's not good, I don't think.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, you look back now and they said quite clearly she's away until after Easter, but nobody could accept that. And now we're all contrite because, people leapt to conclusions and spread wicked, vicious, unsavoury rumours, anything they could think of. But now, we'll rethink it until the next time when they just go and do it again. And it'll be the Royals, or it won't be the Royals, it'll be anyone else. And I don't know, perhaps this is why I don't really buy into any social media at all.
Absolutely. Nice segue into our first topic, which happens to be a late-stage Simpsons episode that I caught recently, although it's over a year old. It's the 12th episode of Season 34, if you're keeping track, called My Life as a Vlog, which I actually think speaks nicely to some of these points. The reason why I wanted to touch on it, because it kind of leapt out of me as a different kind of an episode, because it wasn't just the Simpsons doing kind of a reality show takedown kind of thing where they were being sarcastic that way, and it was structured and edited in a way like that. The way it was actually presented was more like you as a viewer were clicking on YouTube clips and going down a rabbit hole. It's a bit hard to describe as anything other than that. So instead of your traditionally edited scenes, it was like, you would interrupt in the middle of a YouTube video, go to the next one because your attention got caught by something else that came up in the feed, etc. And it was just a really ingeniously designed episode. And for all this talk that we've done about how social media works and what's the culture like, how are people actually behaving? Obviously this is like a heightened ultra sarcastic way of explaining it, but I was kind of watching it going, this is actually a pretty good explanation of what a lot of people are getting up to.
Well, The Simpsons has always been a very clever show, and if we wind back 34 years to maybe the first 3 or 4 seasons, the big thing about The Simpsons was, all the chatter was this a satire of modern life, or was it reality TV, or was it just a cartoon that people liked? And I think, I haven't seen the episode you're talking about, Ben, but it's quite clear this is more classic Simpsons, and it's shining a light on the way we really are.
Absolutely. Not to mention The Simpsons has that uncanny knack of predicting the future, which you can go down your own rabbit hole with all of the predictions they uncannily got right over the years.
But they certainly did. I think there's a lot more to The Simpsons than they're ever willing to admit. And the truth is in the viewing.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to tech. And this one kind of jumped out pretty quickly to me because of been waiting for like an M series competitor to what Apple's been putting out. Microsoft is now claiming confidently that Windows on ARM could finally beat Apple this year with the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon chips that's coming out. I think it's the Elite something or other. I should really look. X Elite, Snapdragon X Elite processor. So in all seriousness, I really do want there to be a legit competitor to what the MacBooks are, or even what the iPads are doing and the phones. Apple's really smashing that out quite well over the last couple of years, to the point where it's funny, like you actually get a better deal buying a Mac that's like 3 years old than buying the latest off-the-shelf version, because they're that good. But Windows obviously hasn't, not Windows per se, but hardware manufacturers that make laptops that run Windows haven't really caught up with this yet. Previous Windows on ARM devices haven't exactly been all that great, with the joke being that you can virtualize Windows on ARM on a Mac and get a better experience. In a couple of months' time when they announce these things, I'm really going to look forward to seeing if they actually come up with something. I'm guessing, the usual suspects like Dell or... actually, no, it'll be... I'm not sure who the hardware makers for this will be, given it's... might even be like new Surface devices maybe that'll kick it off from Microsoft themselves. But one can only hope that finally, after all this time, they're going to, step up to the plate finally.
Oh, well, I don't know. Has it been, talking of The Simpsons in 30 years, has it been 30 years we've been listening to clock speeds and chip speeds, and 10 years ago I think that ceased to be relevant. It is very exciting that there's going to be some new architecture in the Snapdragon that's going to make it more efficient and faster and compete with Macs. But what exactly is this competition? I mean, I know the Windows experience currently, some people who use Macs find the Windows experience lacking, and maybe it is the chips, but the reality is that, what is going to be faster for me? That hasn't been explained, and will it just be a better integration of services on my Windows device? They're the sorts of things I'd really like to know. And I mean, even in a bygone era, and we're talking 2 decades ago, Macs used to have slower clock speeds than the Windows devices, but as we know, used to perform far better on high and difficult processing tasks. So I'm all for it, like you, Ben. I want to see, but I want to know, why is this experience going to be better? Just being faster doesn't mean a thing anymore.
And the curious thing that they have to overcome, which I guess Apple doesn't have to deal with because they just vertically integrate everything together themselves internally, is how is Microsoft going to work with all of these hardware manufacturers more closely to get this happening, where the chips have to have dedicated components to the chip that run different things, like for instance with the emphasis on AI and there being certain neural cores that are in the chip, etc. That sort of thing. You don't want to leave it up to the chip maker and then you just walk in and buy it off the shelf and then plug it in. That's kind of not how it works, and that's kind of a testament to why Apple's been successful with what it's doing. It's because each chip is specifically targeted and designed for what they want to do. I just want to know what the process is, I guess, rhetorically speaking. How is Microsoft and its hardware manufacturing partners going to overcome that?
I suspect that the most obvious result of this will be battery life for Windows machines. I really don't think you're going to see anything run better or faster. Not that a human would notice anyway. but battery life is one area which will perhaps products will integrate a little bit more smoothly. But once again, would we notice? I don't know. Do wheels spin anymore while you're waiting for things on a laptop? I can't even remember because I never see it on a Mac.
That's right. The beach balls aren't really there anymore. Maybe the text in ChatGPT when it's responding will just instantly appear as opposed to just writing across the screen like it does now.
Yeah, well, I can only read so fast.
Absolutely. All right, and I wanted to finish off on, I guess we were on a bit of a theme here. Obviously we had this total solar eclipse, amazing event and etc. But there's always got to be something stupid on the internet related to it, which this being people putting in "my eyes hurt" as a search term or variations thereof, and it spiked on Google during the solar eclipse, which would, to me, that's kind of an reflection of what society is like now. Like that's the thing you do. You don't look at it. Because
it's Google's AI. Where was Gemini to predict this? Why weren't they putting out ads prior saying don't look at the sun without eye protection until there's totality?
But maybe they wanted to catch you just before that moment of totality.
God, well, it was great while it lasted. Now that you've burnt the back of your retinas out.
But wouldn't it, maybe as an observation more than anything else, is that this over-reliance on Google, so to speak, leaving aside how silly it sounds to be searching for something like that during an eclipse, but the idea that, we can outsource our, even long-term trivia in our heads to Google or knowledge or anything we might know, because we don't need to remember anything anymore because, we just pick up our device and can just ask the question.
Well, look, obviously that question, is it safe to look at the sun during an eclipse, wasn't asked as much, I'm assuming, before people started searching for why do my eyes hurt. I mean, maybe Australia has a better record of these things, but by and large, we're taught not to stare at the sun. And the last time we had an eclipse here, which was only, was it 6 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, everyone knew that you can't look at the sun until totality without eye protection. And there's another one coming up. I think it's 2028 in Sydney. which will be like the American one, which will be visible right across huge parts of New South Wales. And I just hope everyone understands, don't look at the sun. You wouldn't do it without an eclipse, so you don't do it just because there's an eclipse on. A couple of minutes of doing that, you'll burn out the back of your eyeballs and, I don't know.
But just remember, you refer to that eclipse that happened 6 to 8 years ago. That's a long time ago, Steve. in the social media history.
Maybe Facebook didn't serve up enough memories. All those memories weren't from the States; they were only for the people in Australia. I don't know, but you've got to be safe. It's a serious issue. I do hope everyone's eyes are okay.
But
I can't believe that Google couldn't have got on the front foot here.
No, but even if you didn't know that, wouldn't you just feel that if you go outside on a sunny day and slowly, moved your eyes towards the sun and then you feel like it's hurting?
When everything starts looking purple, that's the time to stop.
Absolutely. One side note I must say, though, is that obviously with the technology that we've got now, we can really capture these things really well. So even if, like in our case, because we couldn't get to see it, being on the different hemisphere and time of day and whatever, that we can still watch some pretty high-res video of it, which is an amazing thing. That is a positive, I think, in terms of that. It makes the world a lot smaller in that sense that, we can get any information anywhere at any time about anything that's happening.
Oh, that's right. Pardon me. I mean, we're very lucky today that we can share that all around the world. And it is an instance where people come together from all over the world. Those people that get to see it are very privileged, very lucky, and we'll have a chance here in Australia in just 4 years' time.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. All right. Well, I think that's it for today, Steve. I'm not sure what I'm going to Google search myself once we get off here. Maybe I have to, Google search how I edit videos or something, or something like that. But it's, I guess it's a good resource in that regard, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. That's very important.
Absolutely. All right. So that's it for this week's episode. We'll catch you next time.